Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 1 of the anime series Shingeki no Bahamut Virgin Soul, or Rage of Bahamut Virgin Soul, and I am just so stoked to be welcomed back into this world. It's something like a decade after the events of the first season, which I covered in episodic reviews, Shingeki no Bahamut Genesis, and I loved every single fantasy-soaked minute of it. I loved the character interactions, the interplay with them, the drama, the comedy, the action. Everything was just spectacular, and that is very much the case, even leaps and bounds that much more ahead of the game for this first episode of the second season, Virgin Soul. I absolutely love it. The animation throughout this sucker is spectacular. All of the movements are fluid, and the facial expressions. The main character we're introduced to, Nina, you know, she's like my favorite thing about this first episode. She's hilarious. She's super duper strong. She's working on a construction site, moving tons of like rubble and stonework and debris and you know, with ease. She's transferring like piles of 2x4s and wood and, you know, planks and everything like that. Like it's nobody's business. Like she's just carrying a bag of feathers, you know, and I'm scratching my head the whole time trying to figure out, how is that possible? You know, what breed of being is she? Is she something supernatural? I didn't expect she was going to be a frickin' dragon by the end, you know, at least sort of transforming into one, a la, you know, the Incredible Hulk. But I love her character, all of her facial expressions, the fluidity of her movements and everything like that. I mean, it's just awestruck. You know, it leaves me awestruck, this whole first episode. And she's even clumsy, which is that much more hilarious. She's apparently holed up with Bacchus for the time being, because she relates this story throughout the course of the episode that the little town, the little modest town she originates from, has still been suffering in the decades since the whole, you know, havoc that was wrought by Bahamut, who was summoned in the first season and everything like that. And this kind of coincides with Kaiser, who is working under the king, this cat by the name of Clarios the 17th, who seems like a douche. He kind of seems douchey to me. He's like snapping at Kaiser for not being able to get the job done of capturing this rogue denizen who's trying to free demon kind. They call him the rag demon, and this is a point in humanity's history in this realm where they've conquered the gods and angels of heaven for all intents and purposes. I don't know if they've wiped them all out, but it seems like by the start of the episode that's pretty much what they've done. They've impacted the entirety of the heavenly realm and taken it all out and claimed that power, whatever that power be, for their own. And so they have then thus followed on with demon kind and the kind of hell, you know, enslaving them and doing all this kind of heinous stuff that has brought about this rag demon, air quotes, coming out of the woodwork to try to save them, to free the slaves and everything like that. And Kaiser knows who he is, and it took me a little while. I'm pretty sure it's Azazel from the first season. I mean, he meets head-to-head with Kaiser at one point in the episode, and he says, "Oh, you're still pompous, huh?" You know? He's familiar with him. I was like, that's not Favreau, right? That's the one thing this episode left me with. I want to know what the hell happened to Favreau, where he is, where he's going to show up. He's on the poster, so hopefully that won't be too long. That we'll have to wait. And we have, you know, we already have the callback characters of Kaiser, as I say, Bacchus, and maybe Azazel, and even Rita by the end, because, of course, basically, you know, Bacchus hands Nina this, like, wanted poster of this rag demon, trying to help her make some money, and she's holed up with him against his will. You know, he doesn't want to have to deal with her, but no, I'm staying here. You're not going to do much about it, you know, that kind of thing. And so to get her out of Dodge, to get her money to maybe go back home, whatever it is, they're like, well, why don't you go get this guy, you know, become a bounty hunter, go get this guy, bring him back, you get money, and then you go home. You don't have to hold yourself up in our place anymore. I'm trying to get drunk. I'm hanging out with my duck. I forget the duck's name. We're just chilling out, you know, having good times. And then you got to be living with us, you know, like forcibly so. So here, go make some money, find this guy. And this is perfect for her. I mean, she because of her strength and supernatural nature. I mean, she's running like the Flash and trying to chase this rag demon down. Again, as I say, Kaiser kind of thinks he knows who it is, and it's somebody in the king's employ, seemingly, or at least somebody in the employ of you know, a coliseum where they're putting on fights to the death and everything like that between demon and monster kind. and it's kind of pathetic. It kind of reminds me of the real world history of the Roman, Colosseum situation, where they had the gladiatorial games, and that's kind of what's going on here with demons. They're forcibly, those who are strong enough and can put up enough of a fight, they'll be forced to compete to the death and everything. And so it seems like, this rag demon, if it is in fact Azazel, he is somebody who comes out to usher the life away with his like sort of little right-hand man, if it is a guy, Mugado, who I don't remember if we've actually seen before or not. This is a new character, but in the whole chasing down between Nina and this rag demon, who might be Azazel or might not be, she runs into this little, compadre Mugado, and she's like trying to scope him out from a rooftop, and it's absolutely hilarious because here is Mugado just sort of watching events, and like he's just hanging out right up on the top of this like citadel up, like I don't know if it was a cross on the top of it or a wind vane or whatever, and Nina's like, hey, you mind if we switch places? I'm looking for this guy. I don't know if you've seen him, not knowing in any way that they're interconnected already. And of course, Kaiser and his whole troop under the king, his troop of knights, they're also chasing down this rag demon. And so it all coincides, and where you see the clumsiness, which is absolutely hilarious, is at one point Nina actually has this rag demon cornered, and she's going to use like this whip or this line of rope, and it gets like caught on a lamp or something on the wall behind her, and she rips it out of the wall inadvertently. And then when Kaiser shows up, he's like asking you, are you okay? Is everything all right here? And she's like, could you get this thing off my rope? And like she ends up tugging it and breaking this little metal like clasped thing, free, and it smacks Kaiser right in the face, knocks him off his horse. And so inadvertently now, because she's running away from the scene as the knights are catching up with Kaiser, they immediately assume she must be with the rag demon guy, Azazel, if that may or may not be him. And so, of course, the chase ensues that much further, and all havoc breaks loose. They're like flying on dragonback or whatever it is, trying to locate her because they assume she's working in tandem with the rag demon. And, of course, she's then saved when they're like, they bomb this building and she's falling to her penultimate demise. She's then saved by Azazel, the rag demon, and she's all flushed. She's getting all like hot and bothered and heated, and she's been very embarrassed anytime a sort of attractive guy has talked to her. Is one of the guys on the construction site who was painting this big mural about the success of the king defeating Bahamut, which really is that entirely true? Maybe not. But then, when running into Kaiser, she's all smitten with him, and then now she's getting smitten with Azazel, the rag demon, saving her and everything. And this is where she transforms into the red dragon, a la the Incredible Hulk kind of scenario. And she just starts throwing down. The human armies have giant golems and everything like that they're sending after her, and she's wiping the floor with them all. And she just wreaks havoc, a la sort of like a mini Bahamut. It's hilarious, but it's like, whoa, where did this come from? And then, of course, she wakes up at the end of the episode, and there is Rita, who's kind of like, she's got the little monocle or whatever, and she's like kind of studying her. And of course, Nina's all freaked out to high heaven. And it's just, I love this. I loved this entire first episode. Not one moment, not one inkling, not one millisecond was bored or left me wanting. Like every single second of this episode just had me thoroughly entertained, gripped on the edge of my seat, waiting to see what was going to happen, where it was going to go. The only complaint I could have even remotely, well, it's actually, I'll say 1.5 complaints. One is, again, as I said, where is Favreau? I can't wait to see him crop up. I'd like to know whatever happened to him. And if, as I supposed before actually watching this episode, back when I was doing my spring 2017 upcoming anime interests video, I think I posited the speculation, could she be like Favreau's daughter with, the sort of angelic character from the first season, whose name unfortunately escapes me off the top of my head. I can't think of it. The one who sort of disappeared by the end. But then how would that work? Would Nina have been like beamed down to the planet Earth or something like that after the fact? I don't remember. It's a little too complex and complicated. I'll have to go back and familiarize myself with some of those more detailed aspects of the first season. But in any case, the other thing being, like, at the start of this episode, for some reason, the first screen had like two levels of text completely covering the screen of like warnings and you know, the service provider airing this wipes their hands clean of anything that might be taken ill by viewers or anything like that. I think maybe this is because it's talking about humanity conquering gods and demons and hell and heaven and hell. And I don't know, like, it seemed like they were really super duper worried that maybe people might take offense to this. They said like language warning. I didn't hear any bad language in this, and but I could only assume that it was because they don't want to, you know, get under the skin of anyone who considers themselves religious. Maybe, you know, because of that whole humanity, you know, conquering the heavens and angels and whatever. I guess they were worried about offending people or something along those lines. This is a work of fiction. It's not like saying this is what we're really going to do. This is what we really did. It's kind of an RPG aesthetic. It's all sort of fantasy, science fiction-y stuff, so I don't know why they were so hot and bothered, but I mean, it took up 2 full screens. Like, the whole screen was covered in text twice with these warnings and wiping our hands clean of any of the suggestive material that will be unfolding in the show. And so it was just like, WTF. I don't know why they had to do that. And it didn't seem to even be translated from anywhere. It was just, you know, there was no text on the screen to have been translated. It just showed up in English in the subtitles, completely covering the screen, as I say. That would be my only real minor complaint, other than where was Barbaro? Hopefully we'll see him cropping up, as I say. And everything else, I was just thoroughly entertained and captivated and entranced and laughing my ass off by this first episode. Again, if there ever be any character more befitting of that trope in anime, best girl, Nina takes the cake. Nina takes it. And I just loved it. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of the first episode of Season 2 of Shingeki no Bahamut, or Rage of Bahamut, Virgin Soul. If you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you had as much of a blast with it as I did. And I think this is a high contender for episodic reviews. And you know, just love to hear what you think of it. Anything goes in the comments below. Our POVs can certainly disagree, and as long as we stay amicable about it and respectable about it, I just love hearing from you and what you think of it. So, yeah, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.